What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. The Super Bowl is finished. The Rams are your champions, and now we have to wait until OTAs until we get our hands on football again. Actually, shame on me. I just totally skipped over the draft, which is a very exciting time. But you get my point, though. Until we really get football again, real football again, we got quite some time. In terms of what I thought about this game, it was okay. It was an all right game. I was entertained. It's probably a forgettable one for me, but it wasn't miserable or bad by any means. I'm a little disturbed with a couple things late, and we're going to talk about it all. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. If you're looking to buy tickets to go to any event, utilize the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your purchase. It's a no-brainer. Okay, the Sixers, James Harden coming. Let's go. Get your asses in the seats at the Wells Fargo Center. Promo code BROADS, $20 off. And then lastly, TikTok at Broads Media. We're incorporating some fun stuff over there. And with that, look, you got Matthew Stafford leaving the Detroit Lions and winning a Super Bowl the second he leaves town. Not that that's surprising by any means. Not that we are so shocked to see that. The Lions hold people down. That's what they do. They're a trash bag organization. And to be honest with you, this is another week where I thought the Rams won this game in spite of the coach once again. The fact that you're constantly running acres and you have zero business of doing so, there's no way in hell you're going to generate any offense that way. You saw it. The run game was not working. It was brutally disgusting, yet you continue to try and force it nonstop. And I understand that when Odell Beckham Jr. left the game, it hurt them significantly, and you're losing a target. You don't have Higbee, so you are limited to just Cooper Kupp and then a makeshift style of players out there and skill position players, but you have Cooper Kupp. Do you see the difference when you end up going towards Cooper Kupp? You cannot consistently run. That was clear as day. Running was not going to work. So I don't look at Sean McVay and say, you're a genius. I saw a lot of games this playoff run where I laugh at Sean McVay, but when you have Matthew Stafford balling the way that he was, and to be honest with you, that holding call on Logan Wilson was terrible. That was awful. I have no idea how you possibly call that after allowing so many things go, right? The touchdown where Jalen Ramsey gets his face mask yanked, that gets let go. Aaron Donald pushes Joe Burrow out of bounds. I didn't think that was late, but then there was that hostile moment where teams are pushing one another and they're getting all sorts of in each other's faces. You let that go, right? So there were so many areas in this game where they let the fellas play. And then one of the cleanest that we saw all game long was one that got called right there in front of the end zone, which made no sense. But there's a lot of other things. That's not why the Bengals lost the game. I'm not claiming that it was. And quite frankly, I don't give a damn who won this football game. I have no emotional ties. I went into this saying, I'm going to watch the game for the beauty of it. I didn't even have financial circumstances on it, which is bonkers. Who doesn't sports bet on the Super Bowl? Who doesn't bet on heads or tails? Who doesn't bet on the color of the Gatorade? Me, I didn't touch a damn thing, and I went with the, let me just embrace this game for what it is. So I really had nothing stringing my emotions in any way. And I was still baffled by that. But then you see Eli Apple, who sucks, may I add, on Cooper Kupp. That was miserable to start things off. So I don't know why you thought that would ever be a good scenario as they score that touchdown to take the lead, right? I mean, that's not the only issue. They get an interception after they do take the lead in the second half. They get an interception. They end up with a field goal. While the Rams, in the early stages of the game, when the Bengals go for it on fourth down, don't get it, well, the Rams end up cashing that in for more points, and, well, that's an opportunity and a mistake to not end up punching it in and getting more points there. When you get a turnover, you have to make the other team pay. I thought the Rams, even with the injuries, were the better football team. The story behind the Bengals was awesome, and I did feel entering the game that the Rams should win, but the Bengals, it just has that miracle season in play. So then when they go up and that T. Higgins touchdown happens for the 70-plus yard touchdown and the face mask was pulled and it wasn't called. And then you get the interceptions off the hands of the Rams and you go, oh, no, they're somehow doing this again, somehow, some way. But what ended up costing the Bengals? What we've been discussing for basically all season long, and that's the fact that they just don't have an offensive line. And their offensive line started to get annihilated once they overpowered. Aaron Donald came in nonstop. He's celebrating afterwards, pointing at his ring finger, right? He was ridiculous. Robinson, if you're trying to run the football, good luck. Robinson's in there, and he's stuff in the middle. Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. I mean, these guys, they definitely took control of that football game. As soon as the Bengals took the lead, it was all she wrote, and that defensive front showed all of their power, and that was the matchup to watch. That was the matchup to highlight. And I honestly believe, even though Cooper Kupp is a sensational player and one of the big important pieces to their success this season, and then, of course, tonight to win the championship, I thought that Aaron Donald was the MVP of the Super Bowl, and I didn't like that they went in Cooper Kupp's direction. Not that I'm sitting here throwing a fit about it. Quite frankly, I don't care enough, but I would have given it to Aaron Donald or the halftime show. Oh, we got Kendrick, we got Dr. Dre, we got Snoop Dogg, we got 50 Cent who put on 700 pounds. I mean, come on, he's hanging backwards. We're going, what the hell is happening here? Here's a surprise. You got Queen out there. I mean, it was all fantastic for sure from that halftime show. It put me in my feels, and I wish they could have went longer. I know everyone was tweeting around the Twitter sphere that was the greatest halftime show ever. What I'll say is the only thing that kind of stunk about it is because there were so many people a part of it, you weren't able to fully get enough of their songs that I would like, right? We just got we just got that one little spurt of Kendrick. We got that one little spurt of Eminem. We got a little more of Dre and Snoop Dogg, but I wish we could have got, like, I don't know, a 3-hour show. Just spitballing, you know what I mean? If I had to get my personal preference here, I would have liked to have a little bit more. But we do have the Anytime hotline open. We do have the phone calls, 856-442-9805, if you would like to hop in and share your thoughts. I also have the text board open. We have the chat room going. So we are going live here, and we are breaking down what we just saw. Yeah, I mean, the Rams blew my mind for how many attempts they were trying to run the football when it was clear and obvious. But then you can also yell at the Cincinnati Bengals there when they lost the game when Joe Burrow's getting spun around by Aaron Donald. In what universe did Zach Taylor elect to call some of the plays that he did on third down and on fourth down? Maybe there's other ways to get that first down when you really needed it. That knee, though, was pretty damn scary when you look at that knee that went down for, well, Matthew Stafford was a bit nicked up too, but Joe Burrow went down that right knee and the slow motion of him. He's a cool customer, though. I think he'll be back, although, you know, I am pretty clear on this, that Pat Mahomes said the same thing. Oh, I'll continue to get back. I'll be there every single year. He's close. Year in and year out, he's close. But that's how hard it is to get back to the Super Bowl. It's not easy. There's plenty of time for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to do it again, especially if they can beef up that offensive line, which is obviously rule number one of the offseason. Let's get players that can hold him upright. Let's get dogs that can, you know, really provide something here so Joe Burrow has more time and space. You saw he was getting the ball out as quick as humanly possible so they can at least have some sort of life, some sort of attempt. Jamar Chase had that beautiful play on Jalen Ramsey down the right sideline where that catch blew my mind. But really, you had to get the ball out quick so you can counter what that pass rush really is. And it didn't happen until that second half where they exploded and took over the game. But it made sense that they took over the game. There was a moment where I thought that one extra point that was failed because they bobbled the hold was going to cost them. It's 20-16. You think, oh, really? Of course, obviously, it would come down to that mistake that occurred with a placeholder. And, you know, luckily they were able to get in there after that horrible Logan Wilson call. There's some speculation that where the game changed was when Joe Burrow got pushed out of bounds, and the Bengals responded by pissing off Aaron Donald and getting into his face. And here's what I will say to that moment, okay? Because if I'm on the Bengals side and I see Joe Burrow get literally just pushed so hard out of bounds like that, even though it was clean, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. What do you want me to do? Just allow for that to happen and move on? No, you got to stand your ground and let him know. Yeah, what are you doing here? That can't happen. So I got no problem at all. What I have a problem with is inactive celebrating and going nuts on the field and giving my team a penalty. That's what I'd be disappointed about. But if I'm the Bengals and I go back and watch the tape and watch the film and I analyze that sequence, in what world am I going to be upset with my team having Joe Burrow's back? I'll be honest, the opposite would get me all fired up. The opposite, I'd watch back in film and look around the locker room and go, yo, bastards, what are we doing? Our quarterback just got shoved so hard. Where are you? Get in the face of that guy. So I got no problem with it, even if in theory or technically that was what woke up Aaron Donald and pushed him to the next level. I don't care. The right thing to do is stand up for Joe Burrow in that moment. So once again, this game, I thought the better team won the game. It was an okay game. It was exciting. I was involved, right? It kept my interest. It didn't wow me to death. And maybe it's unfair to have the most stellar expectations because the last handful of weeks of NFL playoff football was the best that we've ever seen as a community and as NFL fans watching, where, really we're going to expect it to continue to be the most wild ride in the history of the NFL postseason. No, that's not fair. It was good enough for sure. I did hate all the flags late. I didn't love that. You let them play all game long. The Logan Wilson one, I just can't wrap my head around how they elected to call that one. Out of everything that was let go, that one was the one that was called. But it wasn't the difference in the game because there were so many missed opportunities, I thought, for the Bengals. You get the interception, you kick a field goal. There were definitely times there to make some noise. And I even thought the Rams left some points on the table, right? Jefferson is in the back of the end zone there, man. Jefferson's in the back of the end zone. They missed him, although they eventually scored anyway. I thought a few times, though, Van Jefferson was just, I don't know if he was getting outworked or he wasn't competing hard enough. The interception in the end zone, there was no fight for his quarterback on a 50-50 ball that was up in the air. There was another play down, I think it was the left sideline, where it was the same thing, just no compete level, and it looked like he just got torched and beat pretty easily, and he gave up on it. And that's at the time, too, when Odell Beckham Jr. goes down. Hey, someone needs to step up. Who is it going to be? What player other than Cooper Kupp will make him available and give Matthew Stafford some targets where he could stand in the pocket, look to his left and inevitably go to his right, or look to his right and inevitably go to the left? Easy for me to say, but I just don't understand how he was doing certain things out there. I thought that it reeked of desperation at one point for the Rams where they tried that Philly special play, just unnecessary in that moment and seemed forced. See, the Rams started off hot, came out early, scored some points, but then the Bengals sustained drive, ran the football, ran some trickery of their own. You end up throwing a touchdown pass. Joe Mixon has the ball after a toss because they were actually having flow in their run game. He throws it in the back of the end zone, which that one was methodical. That one made a lot of sense. You ran plays to give yourself flow where then that actually makes sense and works in your favor, based off of the circumstances there. When you just put a sustained drive together, it then opens up the door for you to have the ability to throw some trickery around, and they nailed it perfectly there. The Rams, though, Matthew Stafford needed to come up large. That's what happened. Matthew Stafford late needed a drive. And we've been wondering, who is Matthew Stafford? Wow, he beat Tom Brady. Wow, he got to the NFC Championship game. Wow, he's in the Super Bowl. Can he complete the job? And the fact that I thought Sean McVay sucked and he did it despite his head coach, well, then guess what? That even adds more bonus points to Matthew Stafford. Not that I needed this, because honestly, I didn't need this. I knew Matthew Stafford was a great quarterback in this league. But when you have the moments and you have the drive, it just puts it up to another level for sure. And good for Matthew Stafford. Good for Aaron Donald. And honestly, it seems like OBJ is winning people over as well, going from the diva to a dude who balled out this season. Poor Deshaun Jackson, though, bad business decision. I'll tell you what a good business decision is, and that's going to the Anytime Hotline. So let's do that right now and hear from you out there. What's going on? You are on with Broads.
Hey, Broads, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's up?
Hey, longtime fan, man. Hey, I'm just calling in. What do you think about that 4th and 1 play in desperation where Burrow obviously gets hit and then Aaron Donald obviously makes the points with his ring finger. What do you think about that situation and throwing it on 4th and 1 instead of running it, sneaking it with Joe Mixon, not even having Mixon on the field? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't the sharpest idea in the world. You also had Aaron Donald just exploit that matchup with ease, but he was kind of cooking it on fire at that point anyway. I don't know how you stop someone who was that motivated in that moment. But yeah, I mean, what I would have done was probably look at my 3rd down sequence, and if you knew, I don't know. I mean, you ran the football on 3rd down. Is it the most atrocious thing in the world? I mean, with hindsight, seeing that it didn't work, it's easier to kind of analyze it and look harshly on it. I didn't mind it at the time, but the 4th down conversion, yeah, I mean, I don't think you put Joe Burrow in the greatest position to succeed, especially when you know that he's been hobbling and that knee is causing him discomfort. I probably would have looked in a different area, even though I don't know if that necessarily lost them the game. They definitely didn't put themselves in the best position to win with the final moment right there in front of them. I agree with that.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. When they came out in that shotgun formation, I completely thought QB draw because they did it earlier in the game.
Yes, they did.
And I was like, QB draw, QB draw, QB draw. I screamed it at my Super Bowl party, and obviously it did, and I was very frustrated because obviously I had Bengals money line, but it's whatever. It was a good game, but obviously wasn't going to live up to the expectation of the past playoff games. So
yeah, I think the way that you labeled it, it was perfect. It was a good game. Honestly, it doesn't go down as one of those Super Bowls I'll definitely remember and such an awesome moment. It's got some nice storylines, but it was nothing other than nice. And I'll put it to you this way. At the end of the game, I tweeted this out just for a little bit of some chuckles, a little bit of some giggles. But reality is, cool, a Super Bowl championship. But do you have James Harden? Fair? I mean, I think that's fair, right? You win it out. That's cool. You got a Super Bowl championship, and thanks so much for taking the time to call it. Do you have James Harden and Joel Embiid? Okay. Basketball season. Okay. The Wells Fargo Center. It's time to go win a Larry O'Brien. That's nice. That's cute. A Super Bowl championship. How about Joel Embiid giving you a 40-point triple-double? How about that? We got $5 donation coming in from Robert. Got into a big-ass argument with a buddy. What do call me crazy? Okay. But you run the ball on 4th and 1 with the game on the line in that situation. I just don't know if I love the shotgun concept or, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a run. I'm not just demanding and screaming that it absolutely has to be a run, but I don't know if they put themselves in the best position with that specific play call. There's a lot of different things that you can do. I mean, you can convert a 4th and short and it be a reasonable play call as well, but I just don't think I fully loved personnel out there and loved the concept on what they were trying to accomplish in that moment. So, no, I mean, it's not the only thing you do, but I think it's fair to wonder if it would have been better in that moment. But I'm not living and dying with that's the only thing that would have been acceptable in my life. I didn't love the personnel. I didn't love their approach with it. With, Aaron Donald obviously is going to beat anybody at that point. Joe Burrow got spun around rather quickly and just didn't have a chance to get the full playoff the way that they wanted to, really. But a big-ass argument about it, it depends on how big-ass argument really is, Robert. I appreciate the $5 donation. It's not anything I'm living and dying on and losing sleep over. That's for sure. I don't care that much about it. Would I have ran? I might have would have went with a, do you QB sneak it 4th and 1? Joe Burrow, under center. Their offensive line got exposed, and that's why they really lost this football game at the end of the day, which makes sense, right? It's not Jamar Chase's fault. It's not Joe Burrow's fault. It's really roster construction right now, but they weren't supposed to be in this position to begin with. Some of these wins that they had in the postseason where they're getting crushed by Tennessee and they're getting waxed and they're getting annihilated, right? I mean, that's problematic, and they shouldn't have even been in that position to begin with based off of their flaws and their deficiencies on the offensive line. So that's really where it comes from in general. Bengals defense is so garbage. What happened? This is from Eater. Was it so garbage? I mean, is that fair to say? What was the final again? 23-20? They allowed 23 points in the Super Bowl. 23 points. The Rams couldn't run the ball a lick. They made them a one-dimensional team when they had one playmaker. Honestly, the Bengals' defense, it's not like it was atrocious. It wasn't trash. It wasn't garbage. Akers couldn't run to save their lives. They had one guy in Cooper Kupp. And then it was just that last drive where they did milk some clock. They put together a sustained drive. But then Logan Wilson made the stop that they were looking for. And then the referees threw those damn flags all over the place. And then it became a laundry situation where every single damn snap. And honestly, prior to that, it looked like that the play shouldn't have even happened because there was a false start or something on the offensive line that threw everybody out of whack. So I thought the play should have been called dead before anything even happened before they called the Logan Wilson holding penalty. So all around, I mean, it's not as if they were garbage. I think saying that they were garbage is a little too extreme for my liking personally. I think that's a little extreme. I'll tell you what is perfect, though, and that's DeSimone Jewelers. They are my jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and I continue to go back. Birthdays, holidays, you name it. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they treat you like family. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, and so much more. Their information is down below in the description. And if you tell them that Brode sent you, they will absolutely 1,000% hook you up. DeSimone Jewelers. Absolutely check them out. A power formation and run. Well, yeah, you're just dying on this hill, Robert. That's all. You're just dying on the hill. I respect your dedication to the take. That is something that I will admire from a distance, but it's not the only thing in the world that they could have done. It's 2022 football. On fourth down with the game on the line, am I embarrassed to say that I would like Joe Burrow to have the football in his hands? No. Wouldn't you want Tom Brady with the football in his hands? Wouldn't you want Pat Mahomes with the football in his hands? Wouldn't you want Matthew Stafford with the football in his hands? Wouldn't you want Aaron Rodgers with the football in his hands? 4th and 1, I know you need 1 yard, and they tried it on 3rd down, and it got stuffed. And by the way, your offensive line stinks. Don't forget that's problematic too. Your offensive line, you want to get pushed with the run game. You talk about power formation. You've been getting crushed, especially with Robinson. He's been really hurting you big time. The other team is exposing that right now. It's not as easy as that. That doesn't mean I totally would have despised it at the same time, but in terms of dying on that hill, I'm willing to at least have the conversation of my best player has the ball in his hands with the Super Bowl on the line. It's okay to think that there's something you could do in a passing game scenario with that. Doesn't mean I love what they did, but I'm just saying in theory, to have the ball in his hands, maybe there's something else they could have done a little bit better. Jalen Ramsey should be disappointed in himself, says Random Gamer. That touchdown in the 3rd wasn't his fault, but when he got burnt by Chase, that just shouldn't happen. You're a vet against a rookie. Well, I mean, Jamar Chase is phenomenal. Jamar Chase is fantastic, and it was one of those catches that are highlight reel, bobble. I mean, it's hard to be a cornerback in this league. You're in a position to fail more than you are succeed. And yeah, I mean, he got beat for the touchdown, although he did get his face mask pulled, even though I do think it was exaggerated a little bit. It was definitely penalty worthy for sure, but he didn't get his fingers through the mask and rip it as strongly as maybe he made it seem like. At the same time, though, yes, he did get thrown out of the way. I don't think Jalen Ramsey had his sharpest game by any means, but he's still one of the top dogs in this league, and he's hard to play against, and he's in your face, and he's constantly making it tough for the other side. So, I mean, I'm not sitting here just ripping apart Jalen Ramsey and making it seem like he is not allowed to get beat by Jamar Chase, who, by the way, explodes over everyone and annihilates a lot of cornerbacks in this league. He had one really special play on him, really, truly special play. And what else happened out there? I'm just thinking of some mishaps. Eli Apple in the back of the end zone for one of the Rams touchdowns. I think that was the second one. OBJ scored the first one. Cooper Kupp in the back of the end zone there towards the right side for the second one. Eli Apple bit a bit going towards the line of scrimmage, then had no way in hell of getting back towards the end zone there. So I thought that was atrocious for sure. Eli Apple stinks. That guy, you want to talk about someone who stinks? He stinks. That's reality of the situation. He stinks. He's someone who is way too yappy and way too overhyped for himself for someone who stinks. That's for damn sure. For damn sure. I would have, though, to get back to the MVP side of things, I would have given the MVP trophy to Aaron Donald. And I thought it was weird that all these reports before the game were mentioned. If they win, Aaron Donald's totally thinking about retirement, this and that. See, that's just information that if I'm Aaron Donald, I would just say that when it's all said and done. Why have that be storylines and everyone talking about it before the game, the reporters, multiple different reporters on the TV broadcast before it all happened? He's telling me if he wins, he's going to retire. That's something where if you win, then you retire. That's all. That's the way that I see it. Now, this is something that shouldn't really have this much energy towards, and I shouldn't care that much, and I don't, but I just thought it was weird where, hey, if we win, I'm strongly considering it. Hey, if you win, then you do it. If you win, you do it. 7 minutes before the game, we're all throwing it around town. I could live without that news. But yeah, that's really my thoughts, honestly, in a nutshell of where that football game took me. Forgettable one. Okay game. It was all right. It was okay. It was a game that kept me entertained, but it was nothing more than that. Good for Matthew Stafford. Good for OBJ. Good for Aaron Donald. Good for the Rams. Not good for Sean McVay. I think he is definitely still overrated. He's not a horrible coach. I think some people are. See, people put him on his pedestal that make him the best coach ever, which is too aggressive. And then there's people who think that he's so rated high that they're just going to hate on him because they don't want him to be rated that high and make it seem like he's not good, and then that's a little aggressive as well. But I have seen him do a lot of things that I dislike, but ultimately it's the Andy Reid factor. I am very high on Andy Reid and keep saying, yes, there are issues with him getting to the NFC Championship game or AFC Championship game consistently and failing in that moment, but he's a coach who's consistently getting there. With Sean McVay, he's a coach who has now gotten to the Super Bowl twice, and he does do things that piss me off and I don't necessarily agree with, and I don't think that he necessarily coached a great game in this Super Bowl, but he is constantly getting there, and that's saying a lot compared to all these other teams that are fighting so damn hard to do it. The Cincinnati Bengals didn't win a playoff game in what seemed like 9,000 years, yet here I am ripping apart a head coach who got to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, fell short, picked up some big-time pieces, utilized all their draft picks to acquire major talent, and then just won a championship, even though I thought Matthew Stafford did it in an opposite direction of the head coach and did it because Matthew Stafford balled and Cooper Kupp balled towards the end. But still, at the end of the day, he did win a Super Bowl and he did have a part in this team as a whole. McVay is just an okay coach. That's what we're getting right now. McVay is just an okay coach with really good players on his team. See, I think he's better than okay. He has some moments in the playoffs that I don't necessarily love, but to be honest with you, I could say that about a lot of coaches. There were things I didn't love about Bill Belichick in certain spots. There were things I didn't like about Mike Tomlin in some spots. There were things I don't like about Andy Reid in some spots. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast as we sit here with the binoculars and analyze fully everything to the most major degree at the same time. With that being said, though, if that is all, for whatever that's worth, their sentence for you, their sentence structure. Okay, with that, I think that's basically what I have for you all today on the Super Bowl. We have Coffee with Broads tomorrow at 9 a.m., so make sure we hang out there. We'll kick it. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about James Harden. We'll talk about the 76ers, of course. No game tomorrow, which is disappointing, but we'll have Coffee with Broads for sure. I can't wait to hang out with you guys all there. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Broads, and I will see you next time.